Hello, everybody. I think it's now 2:30, which is the time for the webinar to start. We were expecting quite a number of people. That's the number of people that signed up. And I think what we shall do is, I think it's probably best that we just get going. Because otherwise we could run into overtime, and I don't really want to do that. Anyway, so I'm just going to get going. I'll introduce Susie and some of the ground rules when doing these kind of webinars. So Susie's going to do a presentation, and Susie is a reader at the University of Edinburgh, which, as Susie said, nobody really knows what that is. She can maybe explain it. She's a consultant geriatrician within Lothian, I think based at the Edinburgh Infirmary, is that right? The Royal
Infirmary, yeah.
Yeah, And she's also co-chair of ENRICH, Enabling Research in Care Homes, which I'll get a chance to perhaps just tell you a little bit about before we go into Susie's webinar. And is also a co-applicant on Protect CH, which is what we're really here to talk about today, and that's what the webinar is about. And is the lead for Protect CH in Scotland, and will be one of the principal investigators, really for Lothian and Borders. My role in all this is I'm a co-chair for ENRICH, and also I have a remit within ENRICH to try and help spread the word about care home research. So ENRICH stands for Enabling Research in Care Homes, and we've just received some money from the Scottish Government to get this going throughout Scotland. It's very well established in England, and we've been trying to work with it in Scotland, but it's taken quite some time. So really just to let you know, if anybody's interested in learning more about ENRICH, I think Susie's got some information on one of her slides about it. If you want to join ENRICH or have anything that you wanted to forward your care home or any more information, please get in touch. So I'm going to hand over to Susie now and say thank you very much for doing this and for talking about Protect CH. So Susie, if you could just take it away and let us know what it's all about.
Yeah, thanks, Emma, and lovely to meet all of you today. There's a small group of you on the call, so I'm very happy for this to be as informal as you like. Please feel free to ask questions and to clarify anything that you would like. I'll just go through a short presentation explaining a little bit about this Protect CH trial, particularly as it relates to how we'll deliver it in Scotland. And afterwards, we'll have plenty of time for questions. And also just to let you know that this has been recorded, just so that we can make this talk available for other people to watch in the future. So you can pass it on to your colleagues and friends if they are also interested. If there are any other questions before we start, please raise your hand or do ask. Otherwise, I'll crack on with the webinar, and feel free to store up your questions till later. I've popped the website for ENRICH Scotland and for the Protect CH trial in the chat, just so you can check that out. Okay, so I will share my screen. And so just wanted to talk to you today about the Protect CH trial. This is a trial of prophylactic therapy in care homes to prevent COVID-19 in care homes in the future. I'm Susan Schenken, and that's my Twitter handle if you do that sort of thing. And you can follow the trial as well on their Twitter handle, Protect Trial. I don't have to tell you why COVID-19 is important and what a huge impact it's had on care homes, staff and residents over the last year in the UK and internationally. And like you, we're all very hopeful that vaccines are going to give us a much better protection and a really much more positive future. But that's not 100% certain yet. And I don't want to be depressing or anything at the moment, but I think we have to be realistic that we can't be 100% sure what the future holds, because the immune system varies with age and older people may not respond to the vaccine in the way that we expect. We are obviously concerned about possible changes in the virus and new variants. We don't know what reopening and wider contact is going to have in terms of spread of the virus in the country. And care home populations are, as you know, very, very vulnerable and will continue to be so in the future. So Protect CH is a trial that's been designed to try and prevent outbreaks of COVID in the future, to reduce the severity of future outbreaks and to prevent COVID-19 outbreaks in the care home. And don't be put off by these pictures here. This is just to show that prophylactic therapies or medicines to prevent disease can be either tablets or injections or less invasive things like inhalers, which are what's pictured here. And at the moment for Protect CH, although we can't identify exactly what these drugs are, it's just to reassure you that the drugs that are in the frame at the moment to try and prevent outbreaks of COVID in care homes are things like inhalers, like an inhaled steroid that's already in widespread use and could be used either using a face mask or an oral spacer rather than just an inhaler as you saw in that previous slide. The other medication we're thinking about is a nasal spray antihelminthic. That's a medicine that's used for tapeworm actually as an oral treatment, but at 1/500th of its oral dose uses a nasal spray and seems to be effective to prevent viral infection. And all of these drugs are being used in other trials for COVID and for other diseases. And what's the setup of this trial? It's what's called a cluster randomized trial. And that means that your care home would be allocated at random to either receive the study drug or usual care, no drug, no additional drug. And we're not trying to say some people in the care home will have one thing or the other. Everyone within one care home will have the same treatment, whether that's something or nothing. And because this is a platform study, more than one drug will be tested at a time, but only one drug at a time would be used in any one care home. So what will the process look like for you and for your residents? Well, the process we're in at the moment is just trying to generate interest in asking care homes to talk to us about their thoughts and about taking part in the study. And through a conversation, we hope that care homes will be recruited to be interested and take part in the study. Once the care home has been recruited, we then would seek your support in consenting and recruiting your residents. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We'll then go through the process of checking that this is a trial that they can really take part in. There's no reasons why they shouldn't. We'll then go back to the GP and get permission. We'll get permission from the individuals to take part in the study and to look at the records from the GP and make sure using those records, there's no reason why they can't take part in the study. We then go into a holding pattern and nothing would really happen if there's no COVID infection. But as and when there was a COVID infection in the care home, we would then go through a second eligibility check to check the person and the care home was still able to take part in the study. They would go on to be randomized to either receive a new drug or to carry on with usual care. And that's the process for the study. So as you can imagine, when you're giving people a drug as part of a clinical trial, you have to make sure people understand what they're doing. And we have to check that, as you know, many of your residents may not have the ability to make that decision for themselves. And of course, we have the complexity around not being able to always come into the care home to have these conversations. So we have processes in place to try and do this remotely using electronic devices. We plan that residents both with and without capacity can be eligible to take part in the study. That means if people can understand the study for themselves, they can make the decision to take part in the study themselves. But if they're unable to make that decision for themselves, we'll approach their legal representative, normally the next of kin, who we can contact and ask them to provide consent on their behalf. If people don't have capacity, so they can't understand the study themselves, and there's nobody who can do that on their behalf, they won't be able to take part in the study. The idea is the treatment for this study will be for 6 weeks, and the aim is to give it to, once one person in the care home has COVID, we would give it to everybody else to try and prevent them catching COVID in the 6 weeks that follow. The formal follow-up from the study will be for 2 months, 8 weeks, but we'll continue to collect outcome information from routine healthcare data up to 4 months. And the main thing that we're looking at to see about the outcomes are whether people develop COVID or not, whether they develop COVID in terms of a positive test, and whether they have symptoms from that, and whether they stay in the care home or are admitted to hospital for any cause, and whether they survive or not. And this isn't something the care home will be expected to run all by itself. It will be supported by research nurse staff from ENRICH Scotland, as Emma mentioned at the beginning. So what are we asking from you? Well, care home staff, we're hoping, will be able to help us with identifying residents for participation and telling us who's likely to have capacity, helping us to talk to the people who are able to consent for themselves, and to help us to understand who the people are, the legal representatives for people who don't have capacity themselves. We'd seek your help with the consenting process, because we'll need somebody to take the iPads or electronic devices to the resident and to help with that sort of technical part of that process. And to help us just to complete some very simple baseline data, mostly on the things that you'll be collecting anyway, in terms of whether somebody has COVID-19 symptoms, if they have positive test results, and if they're in contact with the NHS through 111 or 999. So to that end, the study would ask each care home to have a research champion, and that would be somebody in the care home who's interested in learning a little bit more about research and helping the residents to prevent future COVID outbreaks. And this person will be called the care home research champion, and will get financial we'll be able to contribute financially towards that from the study. These people will take charge of contacting the relatives, supporting the residents with the screening consent, providing the GP contact so that us in the research team can contact the GPs for background information on the residents, and to help us to schedule and support residents to provide consent, and work with the care home team to make sure that we can collect all the information that's needed during a COVID-19 outbreak. Mostly you'll be collecting anyway, but to make sure that data gets to the trial team as well. And of course, there will be regular educational support. We will have care home meetings and a lot of training to be provided to make sure that people who take on this role really understand what they have to do and how to do it. And research nurse staff through the ENRICH Scotland network will support that. So that's really just a very quick outline of what's involved in the Protect CH trial. You can get a lot more information as well from the Research Study website, which I'll click through to in a second. And as I said, ENRICH Scotland will be the research infrastructure that will support that, and their website is there. And I just want to thank you for your attention and for considering taking part in the study. So just to take you through to this is the website for the study, which tells you a bit about the background and has a quote from Professor Chris Whitty explaining how important the NIHR feel that this study is, and that they are very much supportive of it and obviously funding it. And some introductory email here about the study. And if you click through here to this section for care home staff, there's also a very short video, just 3 minutes, that you can look at and refresh some of the things that I've just said, and tells you some frequently asked questions that you can look at as well. But maybe you want to just ask me them yourself just now. So thank you very much for your attention. And I'm really interested to know your feedback, your questions, and you know yourselves the best. So things that we can do to make this work better and work well for people in Scotland.
Any questions from anybody?
If people don't want to start off with questions, it might be interesting just to know who's here on the call, because I can see some academic faces that I recognise, but apart from are there folks here who are from care homes themselves?
I'm Sue Kedley, and I'm the Quality Assurance Manager for Pacific Care. and we have 4 care homes, and we would be very interested in taking part in the trial. We have taken part in previous trials with Glasgow Caledonia University on continence and things, and the staff found it really interesting to do something a bit kind of doctory, if you know what I mean, rather than just caring for people. There was a good uptake, and the staff really enjoyed doing it, and I think obviously for something like this, which hopefully will stop any devastation that we've all seen in the past year, is really worth joining in with. So it would be something that the Pacific Care Homes would be very keen to sign up to.
That's great, Sue. Thank you very much. Are there any specific questions about anything that I've said there, or any concerns or things that we could make easier for you?
No, to be honest, it was a very good explanation. It was, and I think probably because we've taken part in trials before, we know kind of the process of signing people up. We had a good response from our residents that could consent, and the families were very keen for the people that couldn't consent, that they consented for them. So I don't see any issue. I think the identifying of a specific champion is a really good idea. And obviously from a care home finance point of view, it's quite good if that's financially supported from yourselves as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sue. That's great. So if you haven't already done so, if you just go to the website and fill in the form that's there, it's a really short form, just an expression of interest. Doesn't commit you to anything at this stage.
No,
it just means we've got your
do.
details on file, and then we can get in contact and we can have more of a
problem.
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody had a hand up.
Yes, Karen, you had your hand up.
Yeah, hi, I'm under Karen, but I'm actually Kathy.
All right.
I'm a manager from Anderson's Care Home in Elgin, and I'm going to have to put my hand up too. I've come in late, so I've missed a little bit of what you were saying, unfortunately. But I saw someone saying that you put what in care homes across Scotland are just specific to areas. But first of all, would there be a quick resume, just very quickly again, to give me a little idea, because I'm quite keen that we would get involved in things, but just to make sure, purely residential care, so just making sure that we would be, what it could be something that you would want to consider being part of your trial.
Absolutely. So the presentation will be available on the ENRICH Scotland website probably from tomorrow. If you go to the Protect CH website that I've just popped in the chat, it's got a very short video that explains it as well. It's about 3 minutes, but basically it's a trial of medication to try and prevent COVID once one person in the care home becomes positive, to give it to everybody in the rest of the care home, or nothing at all in a separate home. We are looking for care homes throughout Scotland, although we may be limited to places that actually have had more of a COVID outbreak. So in terms of Elgin, that may be a little bit more of a challenge, but we're really keen to know if you're interested, so that we can just build up the infrastructure. Even if it doesn't work out right now to be involved, we would see in the future, or if there was an outbreak in that area, we could support that. So if you can fill in your details at the I
just wondered, would you want a nurse on site, as a nurse involved, which we don't have, that being for the trials or whatever, in case
it doesn't. So the only stipulation is that the care home needs to have at least 20 residents. So and then we'll look at small, medium, and large size care homes in the analysis. But as long as there's 20 residents in the care home, and if you don't have resident nurses, that's fine. We'll have research nurses to support that, but we would obviously go through with each individual care home the training that your staff would require to make sure that you could do what was required for the study. So if you're interested, just fill in the form on the website, and then we can contact you and talk to you in a bit more detail.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I put my hand up. I'm Linda Benedetti. I'm service manager for one of the directly provided care homes for Glasgow Health and Social Care Partnership. And our Assistant Chief Officer had asked all of us, there's 5 care homes to come to this webinar. But it's difficult because we don't have Zoom. So however, we're on an iPad just to see what it was about. And I think Francis McMeekin, our Assistant Chief Officer, is quite interested for Glasgow directly provided to be involved. So would you be able to share the slides so that I can pass them on to our colleagues? And obviously we know how to apply, and we'll have a further discussion. But I think Francis was saying we would be quite interested, because we've obviously got large care homes. We've got 420 bedded care homes, and then we've got Victoria Gardens, which is 70 bedded. So we would be interested. So I don't know if they're here.
That would be great. If you want to get them sent to you directly, if you want to just email Taylor, who sent you the web link, just so that we make sure we've got your email on file. Like I say, we'll send the email link. We know that Zoom was an issue for a lot of the NHS people. We didn't realise that when we set this up, because sometimes Teams is an issue for other people. So it's hard to find a platform that works for everybody, but that's why we'll record this and we'll put it up on the ENRICH Scotland website so it can be available to everybody. But thank you very much for your interest, and we look forward to hearing it from you. That's great.
Thank you.
And as Callie said, enough beds for 20 residents over the age of 65, and it's residential or nursing homes. Yeah. So it doesn't have to 20. Is that what you're saying, Callie? It doesn't have to 20 actual residents in it. It just have to 20.
Doesn't that? Yeah, because that number will vary with time. So you wouldn't want to say, well, you're not eligible today, but if 3 more people move into your care home, then you'll become eligible. So what's fixed, or relatively fixed, is the number of beds rather than the number of individuals, which obviously will fluctuate with you know, as people may move on from residential to nursing homes, or, you know, etc. So it was, we want it to be at least enough beds for 20 residents. It may be that they're not all full, but that seemed like the most sensible cutoff, because it was a fixed point rather than a fluctuating number.
Sorry, Callie, could you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, my name's Callie Rick. I'm part of the team at Nottingham Clinical Trials Unit. So we've been working with Susie and a number of the other co-applicants from around the country to design this project and to set it all up. So it just went in for ethics approval yesterday. And so we're really very hopeful that very shortly we'll be able to start, you know, contracting, etc., with care homes and GPs to actually really push this project forward to the, you know, the accrual stage rather than the designing stage. So it really was a watershed moment this week. So yeah, we're very excited, and it's lovely to see the you know, the positive responses we're getting today. So that's really great. Thank you.
Thank you. The thing I didn't say, which I don't know if it's good or bad to say, but we think we probably need 200 care homes across the UK. So proportionately, I guess that would mean about 20 in Scotland, but it would be nice to have more than that. And so far, I think we've had 2 or 3 who've expressed interest so far on the web page. So it would be really nice to spread the word a little bit.
I think that's an important point as well, is you guys are connected up with other care homes, other care home providers. So if there's anybody else out there who you think might be interested in this, please spread the word, and let others know. That's what we're aiming to do, is we're going to try and contact people as we can, and this is one of the first things that we're doing in Scotland to try and raise the profile of this particular study. So spread the word.
Yeah, and the other thing, just to let you know, I think we can say, Callie, is that a couple of the larger care home providers, HC1 and
Four Seasons
have agreed to that their care homes will be taking part in this project. So that's a brilliant start to the recruitment as well. But it'd be lovely to see all you more independent care homes and people with smaller groups as well being part of that story too. Any other questions, thoughts, feedback? As you know, you're the ones on the ground, so if there's anything we can take back to the study team, that would be really helpful. Lindsay, is that you got your hand up?
Hi, have you thought about going through Scottish Care to reach more care homes as well?
Yep, Emma, do you want to explain where you're at with the Scottish Care?
Yes, Shanice of Scottish Care, Shanice has agreed to send a link to this particular project out to all of Scottish Care's members. And Scottish Care have actually been really supportive around research in Scotland. So they're supporting ENRICH, they've supported this study, we've got another study going to them as well. So yes, Scottish Care have been very, very helpful. So I'm really pleased about that. So any other ideas like that of people that we could approach, you know, just drop us a line, or if you have any thoughts, even after this webinar, maybe tomorrow, and you think, well, we should say, or we should ask about, don't hesitate to get in touch. We're more than happy to hear from you.
And like I say, that very short video, the 3-minute video on the website, is something that you could show it if you're in a meeting with other people. You could just show them that, and hopefully that will pique some interest and just give you enough information to know if you're interested or not. Yes, Callie was correcting me on my very conservative estimate of 200 care homes. Yes, it's 200 taking part in the study, for which we would need probably 400 to express interest to be able to recruit enough people. So every little helps.
Yes, I thought that when you said we needed, was it 20? I thought we thought maybe about 60 care homes in Scotland. I thought, oh, maybe you knew something that I didn't, but obviously you'd forgotten that it was.
It's a final number, it's not the recruit.
Yeah. So we do need to get more interest and try and get as many care homes as we can to be involved.
Yeah, it's the post-exposure prophylaxis part that trips us all up endlessly. So because half the time we're talking about 100 per arm, but that's per arm randomized. So it's the difference between what we need to recruit and what we'll randomize that I think throws everybody.
Any other questions or thoughts or feedback from anybody?
We do have, you know, one-page summaries, and, you know, there's things on the website, and you can contact us again if you need anything, or if you want to go ahead and complete the expression of interest form, then that doesn't commit you to anything, as Susan said, but that would enable the team in Nottingham to contact you and kind of start having a discussion about, you know, practicalities and how it could work in your care home, and would again give you opportunities to talk to somebody. And we've set it up so that we'll have a specific trial manager who will be working with Scottish care homes. So you'll always be working with the same person. It won't be a different random person who contacts you every time. You know, somebody's contacting you from the trials unit. So hopefully that will help build, you know, build relationships, and they will work together with ENRICH Scotland to make sure that everybody's involved in that procedure, and that we can start to really kind of develop personal relationships with, you know, with anybody who would like to participate in the study. So, you know, we are a friendly bunch. Come and talk to us.
And we have very short webinars that allow you to get back on with
Yes.
your day very quickly. So we're going to leave now, unless you get any other questions. If anybody wants to ask anything specific, please don't hesitate to contact us directly, or through the website or through ENRICH Scotland. And we really look forward to working with you. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.